Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the IBM HyperProtect Services webinar. I'm just going to do a quick sound check with my presenters. I believe I can be heard okay. It's fine. Sorry, I can't. Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Lee. Good morning, Ant. We're going to wait a few minutes to have more of our attendees join, but while we're doing so, we're going to play the Harley-Davidson Livewire promotional video. We'll talk more about how you can participate to win this awesome bike later in the webinar, and also your chance today to win a limited edition Harley-Davidson jacket at the end of our presentation. So please pay attention, get your coffee, stick around, watch the video, and I'll be back in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Well, I hope that got your blood pumping. So welcome again, and thank you for joining us on our second virtual sales enablement event for the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace and IBM Cloud Sales Incentive Program for 2020. A little bit later, we'll show you how you can win this bike here. I'm Tasha Sultanovic, Cloud Vendor Manager at Ingram Micro Australia. And before I introduce you to our hosts and our speakers, we have a really quick 3 poll questions that we want to ask you to participate in, just to get a feel for where our audience is at and what their knowledge is around HyperProtect services. Tariq, if we can just move to the first poll question, super quick. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds. Go ahead and just click your answer on the screen. Do you deal in regulated industries? Please select yes or no. I'm going to get up really quick. Do you deal in regulated industries? And in just a moment, I will get your answer in the chat box. Here we go. And the answer is yes. Okay, awesome. So we have the right audience. That's terrific. No, 26. Next poll question, please. Do you have concerns about data confidentiality and IP protection when moving confidential and mission-critical data to the cloud? Please select one. Give me about 15 seconds. And the answer is yes. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and so you should. And thirdly, do you have difficulty ensuring consistency around security and compliance across all teams using cloud? This is the last poll question. Pick your brains. I think I know what the answer will be for this one too. Yeah, awesome, as we suspected. Okay, cool. Well, to kick us off this morning, and thank you for participating, by the way, appreciate that. So to kick us off this morning, I'm pleased to introduce our host, Lee Welch, Director of Cloud Services at Ingram Micro for Asia Pacific, up there in the left corner there, as well as the Head of Public Cloud at IBM Australia and New Zealand, Anthony Withers, gentleman on the right. Today, along with the help of some brilliant global IBM experts, we will discuss IBM HyperProtect services. So let's begin with Lee. Lee, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tash. And good morning, everyone. Thank you all for your time this morning. I'm thrilled to be here. I hope you find this session useful. I'm going to be telling you how you can win one of those Harley Davidson live wire motorcycles shortly. As Tash mentioned, I'm here with Ant Withers. So thank you for being here, Ant.
No worries, Lee. Good to be here this morning.
We are both a very good looking pair. We are live this morning, everyone, so nothing's pre-recorded. That would be too easy. If you've got any questions as we go through the session, please use the chat window and we'll get to those and answer those at the end. Okay, so let's get started. So today we're going to recap on the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace here in Australia and the incentive programs that we have in play right now. And
yeah, actually, let's look at inviting our members of our extended team from the US and Canada to talk with you about the HyperProtect services. We've chosen this solution specifically because of its ease to sell and deploy and availability here in Australia and New Zealand marketplace. Today, you'll hear a high-level sales overview of the portfolio from Alison Gaynor, our Z as a Service go-to-market offering manager team lead. And we also have Peter, our offering manager from our HyperProtect services, who will take us through some of the live demos. We'll then actually hold a Q&A session, but you can write your answer in the chat box, as Lee mentioned before. These sessions are designed to supplement the HyperProtect services online training, but if you've missed the link, it'll be available on the Ingram Micro landing pages.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's get on with the session. I can see many of you on the call here are already Ingram Micro Cloud partners, so thank you for your business. For those that aren't Cloud Marketplace partners, just a quick recap on the Cloud Marketplace, which is a fully automated end-to-end e-commerce platform that's designed for our channel partners to provision cloud services quickly. And you can also streamline your back office operations through API integration. The interface is easy to use. It's simple to transact services. We've got a catalog of over 200 leading and emerging cloud brands globally, and all of it supported by go-to-market support, online digital marketing programs, and 24/7 technical support. And April this year, Ingram Micro Cloud Australia was the first to launch IBM public cloud products and services to our marketplace. So we're still first to market with that. We're very proud of our engagement that we have with IBM. So, I could spend hours on the benefit of cloud marketplace. So if you're not already a partner, I encourage you to visit au.cloud.im and speak to one of our cloud representatives. It's a very impressive pool for our channel partners. Okay, over to you, Anne.
Yeah, sure. So as many of you know, Ingram Micro has been selling the cloud solutions for over 5 years here locally. And as Lee mentioned earlier this year, we actually launched IBM Cloud offerings as part of the Ingram family marketplace. Just a couple of things to kind of keep on why IBM Cloud, right? First and foremost, we say it's open, it's built on open standards, which actually means to your clients that they'll never be vendor locked in again. From an IBM standpoint, we won't actually lock them in to IBM Cloud. If they decide that after a time they actually want to look at moving those workloads or that data to another cloud provider or back on-prem, they can do that. IBM, it's secure, protects data in motion at rest, designed hardware security, right, which is what we're going to talk to you about today, Alison and Peter specifically. Most importantly, I am actually very excited to announce that our IBM HyperProtect services have been granted IRAP protected status by the Australian Signals Directory. This actually happened a couple of weeks ago in May, so we are one of the first to market here under the new Australian Signal Directory's rule. And then most importantly, IBM Cloud is what we call enterprise grade. So we don't just have x86, right? We're just not for cloud native. We have IBM Cloud has been built for complex workloads. So we have power in IBM Cloud, and also today we're talking about our Linux One solutions on IBM Cloud. But IBM Cloud also combines platform as a service, and we have over 190 services integrated on the IBM Cloud Marketplace. And most importantly, those 190 services are actually available on the Ingram Cloud Marketplace. The platform is built to support your needs as a business partner, be it an ISV or be it a MSP, whether it's working in the public cloud or in a hybrid cloud for your clients, to be able to kind of deliver multi-cloud deployment models. Back to you, Lee.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ant. Thank you, Ant. So how do you win the Harley Davidson, which is a good question. So we shared in our last session earlier on in the year how Harley Davidson's first electric motorcycle uses IBM Cloud, IoT, and data technologies in the US to reimagine the experience of riding a motorcycle. And we also announced that our partners have a chance to win the Australian version of the motorcycle. So let me talk you through how you get involved. So it's quite straightforward. First, you need to register your business on the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace. That's very easy to do. Once you've done that, your business can then start to earn and accumulate tickets for a draw. And of course, the more tickets you earn, the more chance you've got to win the motorcycle. So how do you get tickets? So to qualify, you need to transact a minimum of $80,000 annual contract value of IBM Cloud Services between now and the end of November this year. And then once you've qualified, you can then earn additional tickets for every $10,000 of annual contract value you transact. So again, the more you sell, the more tickets you earn and accumulate, and the more chance you have of winning. And I'm very excited that the draw is going to be held this December. So one of our valued IBM Cloud partners is going to have a wonderful Christmas present in December. So just to recap, register on the Cloud Marketplace, register for the incentive program, and start selling IBM Cloud services on the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace. And all the details are listed on the website, so please go and check it out.
Hey, Lee.
Okay, so are you okay to introduce our enablement trainers?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, I know that last time we did this, we're actually in the studio together, so we were working like a comedy, right, and stuff. I was going to say, so if someone actually wins this before Christmas, do they have to take me and you for a ride on the bike, or is that part of the deal as well, or not?
I think I put on so much weight during COVID. I don't think the bike's going to move, unfortunately.
The over kilos, no worries. All right, nice. Hey, thanks, Lee. So interesting points, and it was really good to kind of get your feedback with those opening questions. If you look at, and most recently, right, I was talking to our friends at Gartner, and they talk about that, a lot of organizations have moved 20% of their workloads to the cloud, right? They are cloud native, the simple, the easy. But really, why organizations haven't moved complex workloads to the cloud is two things. Is one, they don't know if they can actually look at moving that to the cloud. And most importantly, what we're here today is to actually talk about the security, the data sovereignty, right? The complex, the personal information, right? Things around GDPR. But interestingly, 95% of our clients we polled said that security, privacy, and regulation is their main concerns and inhibitors of actually using the public cloud today. With this in mind, IBM created our HyperProtect services, right, which is a suite of solutions which brings the resilience of IBM Linux One to IBM Cloud, right? Some of our customers go, well, Anne, are you telling me now that we can actually look at putting mainframe workloads and actually have that HyperProtect security data sitting on a mainframe in a public cloud today? And the answer is yes, definitely, right? So, and what I want to talk to you today about is, kind of our three offerings at the moment that we've actually got built on our HyperProtect services. Two of them are actually around our HyperProtect database as a service, so having the availability for MongoDB and also Postgres, right, which enables complete data confidentiality for sensitive data. And also our HyperProtect crypto services, right? Clients and partners can not only bring their own data encryption key, and here's the caveat, IBM is the only cloud vendor that lets you as the partner or your customer to keep your own data encryption key, right? And it's also protected by dedicated cloud HSM. So if we detect an attack, the hardware will take over control and shut that down, right? These are the benefits that the customers include today, right? They, as the owner of the data, they maintain complete control of it. The applications and developers can easily provision secure data stores for sensitive data without having specialized skills. And as I mentioned before, right, the federal government, the Australian Tax Office has now actually granted us protected level. Data can actually now sit safely and securely on HyperProtect, but we're not stopping there. We are actually working with the federal government with our HyperProtect services to get that to secret and top secret level data for the federal government. And most importantly is when you as an IBM Cloud and Ingram partner, you sell these solutions of IBM Cloud, right here locally, it's the same architecture and the same cloud data centers that we use for federal government that you can look at using for all your customers, which is why one of the questions we asked about regulated workloads, right? Now, without them said, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Alison Gaynor, who actually take us through a high-level overview of the HyperProtect services, right? Which, as I said, they deliver the highest level of data encryption in the world. So, Alison, thanks very much for joining us this morning and this evening. For your time, please, over to you.
Thank you very much. Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Okay, fantastic. All right, let me share my screen and we'll get started. No, I'm gonna have to let you. Can y'all see my screen? Apologies. Let me get started.
We can, Alison. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. All righty. Thank you very much. That was a great intro, and I do appreciate it. Well stated. So HyperProtect services were literally brought to the IBM Cloud for a couple reasons, and one most importantly is what everyone has brought forward: the concerns about security, true differentiation. The kinds of the class of services that we bring forward are ones that no other cloud, no other public cloud can provide. We provide the highest level of compliance for data encryption. We configure it such that not even IBMers, no one who is only those who have specific authorizations can see and touch your data. A lot of times we hear words FIPS 140-2 level 4 encryption. That's tied to the HSM, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So what prevents a lot of people from moving data to the cloud? Strictly speaking, based on the survey, the kinds of concerns that you have are the concerns that are pervasive, right? Meeting regulatory compliance, protecting that IP so that we don't compromise our competitive advantage. What happens if competitors steal secrets? What happens if a hacker goes in, compromises your patents or specific algorithms? Or and also most importantly, protecting your customers and your brand image is not compromised, right? Because we see these attacks happen, we see multi-million-dollar fines, we see customers concerns that when their data, their personal data is being compromised, do I trust this vendor anymore? And so for that reason, we brought forward this class of services. I think Ant did a great job kind of giving you a quick overview of those, where we've got crypto services that offer you that key management solution backed by the world's most secure HSM. It's a dedicated HSM that carries a level of certification that guarantees that, like he had mentioned, if anyone attempts to attack in any way, whether it's chemical or radiation or any other form, the system is smart enough to know it's being attacked and smart enough to know to go ahead and erase those keys, where others might send a note off to an admin going, hey, we think something's going on, you should check it out. So by the time that happens and it's checked out, the keys are likely stolen. The DBaaS services are there, again, complete data confidentiality. And then we've GA'd recently the HyperProtect virtual servers, which gives you that opportunity to actually run those. It's the only cloud out there that offers those Linux One place for Linux One workloads to reside in the IBM cloud. And we're seeing a lot of uptick in traction here today. We did note about IRAP certification. We also have SOC 2 Type 1, and we're HIPAA ready. A lot of people ask me, what specific workloads do I care about? Well, I think one way of making that decision is centered around what kind of data do you have? and how much protection do you need and how much insurance do you need that that data is safe and secure and locked away. So we use this as a barometer to make those kinds of decisions. And as you move towards the right and it becomes more restricted data, your crown jewels, like we talked about, patents, informations that are secrets. Some people are building Kubernetes solutions and they have the Kubernetes secrets, kind of information you don't want anyone to have access to. If it's compromised, what is the cost of doing business? What kinds of fines are involved, right? So if someone steals training material, it's annoying. When someone takes your driver's license, when someone takes your key for a digital asset, now you're talking compromises that you just can't get back. And so that's when you're making a conscious decisions of where do I store the data? How is it going to be protected? Many companies make the decision that information is so important, we have to keep it on-prem. But now with the HyperProtect services, you can now revisit those decisions and you can now think about moving them to the IBM cloud. And so what is a difference? We talked about with the HSM, we're smart enough, we automatically delete those keys. What else do? We provide technical assurance, right? Because these services reside on a Linux One server co-located in the IBM data center, you inherit a lot of the security that comes with, that you expect from a Linux One server, now available in the IBM cloud. So what is another big difference between our database and other databases? We can provide a technical assurance that we cannot see your data and that no unauthorized users have access to it. We had one customer, when we went through the technical due diligence for making the decision to move to the IBM cloud, they called our database the Fort Knox in the cloud. Whereas other vendors, other public clouds, they offer you operational assurance. That's a promise that our people will never touch your data and our promise that we won't have access. But when push comes to shove, there's a difference between technically not being able to do it and putting policies in place. It gives you that extra level of assurance that your data is protected. This is a good reason why IBM has announced the IBM Cloud for Financial Services. And Bank of America chose to, which is a large bank in the USA, that chose to, before said those comments of read my lips, we will never move core banking solutions to any public cloud. That changed when they learned about HyperProtect services. They learned about the level of encryption that comes with it, the data immunity that comes with HyperProtect. All of that factored into a decision that they absolutely could. And we're seeing an uptick in traction and momentum around other ISVs interested in offering similar types of offerings in the IBM cloud for that reason. And we have other customers that do some very interesting things. So Viva is a great example. A lot of people have heard of Alexa. They offer an Alexa type solution for regulated workloads where maybe you need to have a conversation with your insurance company. Maybe you want to have a conversation with your healthcare provider. You can do that with such a device and know that those conversations are stored in a virtual server, protected, and where no one else can have access. And so each of these use cases have links where you can go and learn more. Solitaire Integral is a really great story about a streaming service, and they were very concerned about their IP being compromised through this web streaming service. So you can actually go out, you can not only see the video and the case study, but you can actually go out to the website, the Winnebago website yourself, and see it for yourself in action. Daimler is an automotive company in Europe. And that's an interesting story because it really was a situation where they had an application that they wanted to make sure when running anywhere that data could not be touched by competitors. They collect a lot of information about the cars when they're serviced in the garage, and they want to make sure that information stays safe and secure and is used just for trend analysis within and not be subject to attacks. So there's actually a public reference that's out there, and you can share. We share that link. So we're also happy to share other links as well. On-chain is an up and coming, like many others in this area of cryptocurrency. Many of us have heard of Bitcoin. Think about trading currencies like tokens associated with real estate, or tokens associated with artwork, or tokens associated with your favorite football team of choice. And new types of currencies are being opened up, and these types of hyperprotect services are enabling them to now run these in the cloud. So a couple comments I wanted to make about a little bit deeper. When you talk about hyperprotect, there's a concept of keep your own key and bring your own key. And this chart just kind of brings that to life. When someone says bring your own key, that's offered by all of the other providers, right? It's as a service. It's backed by usually a level 3 HSM, which is a shared HSM out there. When you bring your key, you hand it to a cloud admin, you entrust them to actually deposit that key into an HSM. When you're working with IBM crypto services, keep your own key means that you, the customer, or as a business partner on behalf of the customer, will perform an actual key ceremony that can be done by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Also not done by any other type of HSM, having multiple people come together to actually form that master key and deposit it. Gives you an extra level of protection to ensure that that master key can only be accessed by those and replaced by those. That technical insurance is, again, a big differentiator for us. And so you could, these charts are available to be shared, but this kind of gives you some flavor. When you use the master key, that service can be performed with a smart card. So it's another option that's available to you, only available on the IBM cloud. This just kind of gives you a flavor of other integrations, so you can be thinking about the kinds of workloads that you may want to support in the IBM cloud, whether you're running cloud native solutions with Kubernetes, whether you want to do disaster recovery with cloud object storage, whether you want to do something with VMware. We have a lot of VMware users, 80% of the market uses VMware, and now you have a way for those mission critical workloads that you choose and want to help your customers move successfully to the IBM cloud, where they're hosting sensitive data. You can now do that with by leveraging crypto services. If your customers prefer high trust, that you can also use our HSM to back it up. They give you a level 3 HSM, Gemalto, or you can use hyperprotect services. A little bit deeper on DBaaS. So many people say, what is DBaaS? And it means that there's a set of, anyone can take Mongo, wrap it up and stick it in a virtual server, but it requires you to do everything else. It requires you to worry about the networking, the versions, backups, host monitoring, all of these items that IBM takes responsibility for when we run a database as a service offering in the cloud. However, the data model, the application integration, the decisions around key management, query performance, those are customer responsibilities. The nuance between hyperprotect and other environments is that because we do not have access to your data, it means that your logs are encrypted. It means that you're encrypted at rest and in flight. It means that in order to access that data, special authority has to be given. That's a great service that can be provided by a business partner. And if you need IBM to engage, we can work with us to consciously offer temporary credentials so that we can look at it, or you can provide redacted information. Other examples of how you can use this was a great example brought forward by Apple. Their customers who were building healthcare apps for their iOS devices wanted to be able to back up the personal data into a cloud. And so now they offer an SDK. So if you're building mobile apps for iOS devices and you want to then leverage hyperprotect DBaaS as your backend server, what this now offers you is end-to-end security from your iOS device, your iPhone, all the way to the IBM cloud server, giving that right level of assurance and protection that you need. Virtual servers, as everyone mentioned, this is the first world's only Linux One server instance, Linux distribution instance in the IBM cloud, not available in any other cloud. So now, yes, you can build those virtual instances and stand them up in the IBM cloud. And this, again, is a situation where we major on security. Those signed VM'd images, we make sure that people don't, while you're deploying, actually insert some malware into the images as they're promoted, because they're encrypted as they're being deployed and they're protected. Someone had asked me about average deal size, and it really depends on the workload. This is a very a large example of what one may do if they were building a digital asset custody solution. They may need a couple of virtual servers, they may need a couple of databases, and they certainly need crypto services because they're going to want to be able to store that information and host it in appropriately in the HSM. So it just kind of gives you a sense of sizing. We've seen a variety of deal sizes. And remember, this is all part of the IBM cloud. So you may be using COS for your backup and recovery. You may be building a cloud native solution that's going to be using Kubernetes, that's going to tie in some of the Watson services. So it really depends on the workload that you're running and how you're going to leverage the IBM cloud in terms of what your deal size would be. And it's certainly, some of you may be offering reseller services, some of you may be offering professional services to help them build cloud native solutions and deploy them in the cloud. Lots of ways to try this out. There are, you can actually, Crypto Services has, on the web, you can actually get a 30-day promo code where you can run 2 instances for free for 30 days. There are trial services available for DBAS, as well for virtual servers. And there's a link there that gives you access to a ton of demos and code patterns so that you can try this out and explore it for yourself. So with that, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to turn it over to Peter. Peter?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Sure can. Thanks, Peter.
Excellent.
And thanks, Alison, for that. That was an awesome overview. So I know we've got a lot of questions coming through at the moment, but you know, we will ask them at the end of the webinar. And for those of you who actually want to ask a question now in the chat, just put it in your chat. But Peter, I think we're very keen now to look at going through a couple of demos. So over to you.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Ant. Right, guys. So good morning to all of you guys. I think it's only me and Alison in the evening here. We're still a day behind you guys. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you. I'm going to go through a few things with you guys. So 3 things mainly. I'm gonna spin up a HyperProtect virtual servers so you guys can see how easy that is. And I'm going to initialize a crypto unit and show you that process that we call keep your own key and how secure it is. And then lastly, I am going to tie that crypto unit into a VMware environment and spin up a VM with an encrypted disk. So let's get started. I do ask for your patience, because sometimes live demos don't quite go as as well as you plan them to, but I think we should be all right here. So throughout this, I'll explain the prereqs to each of the things I'm doing. Basically, there are some things that you need to do before you can actually execute some of these commands, and I'll briefly go over them. If I were to go over through every single little step, then we would need quite a bit of time, which we don't really have. So, but I will explain everything that I'm doing and the things that I've had to do before so that they work. Okay. So the first prereq, right, is to use HyperProtect resources. You guys need to have a pay-as-you-go account. And just to show you what that looks like, I hope you guys are all familiar with this site, which is basically the interface dashboard for IBM Cloud. And to figure out whether or not your account is good to go, when you go and manage account and account settings, you should see here an account type pay-as-you-go. So it can't be a free type of account or anything else. And the pay-as-you-go generally means you need to put your credit card in, or you need to have some kind of invoice billing service set up. You see that you guys that I'm using actually HPCS, which is the HyperProtect Crypto Services Team account. So you guys are going to see a lot of resources here, but I'm going to name all my resources Peter so that everything becomes very easy to see. Right. So without further ado, let's get started, right? The first thing we need to do is to actually install something called IBM Cloud CLI, which is command line interface. And that's actually fairly easy to do. Everything is really well documented on the IBM Cloud Docs website. And this, I mean, if you go to the Cloud Docs website and type CLI, you're going to come across this, which basically just has, this is what you have to do. I'm using a Mac, as you guys can probably tell. This is the command that I need to execute on Mac to install the interface. And the nifty thing about the website and also the cloud console is this little thing here that you can just click on that, and it will it will copy it to your clipboard. So you just paste it on your console and you're good to go. Right. So the first thing we need to do is to, once you've installed the CLI, is to log in using your cloud credentials. And again, that's really easy to do. You go back to your account, you click on the little man here and say log into CLI and API, and here's a credential. Here's what I have to type in my terminal to log in. So I'll do that. Go back to the terminal. There we go, and it will log me in. Okay, I will be using Frankfurt for this demo, so 6. And it's telling me it doesn't have a target set up, a target group, so I'm just going to use the default group. So I'm just going to default. And there we go. We are good to go. Right. So the first thing we need to do to spin up a HyperProtect virtual server is you need to generate a public and private key pair, right? And most of you probably know this, but for you guys that don't, the public is basically the bit that you can share with everyone, and the private's bit, obviously, that you have to keep to yourself because that's a private. I tend to think a good analogy is a padlock, right? The public piece would be the padlock, and the private key is the actual key. So when you want someone to send you something securely, just send them the padlock, they'll lock it up in a box and send it to you, and then only you have the key to open that box, right? And so to generate a key pair, I can just execute a native command in Mac, which is the SSH keygen, right? This command, basically, I'm generating a key with this type of encryption, which is the latest type, which is supported by IBM Cloud, and I'm just giving that key this identification, which is my email, right? It'll ask me what file I want to use to store as a key, so I'm going to put HPVS demo. Okay, it's going to ask me for a passphrase. I'm going to leave an empty passphrase. Obviously, in production you wouldn't do that, but this is a demo. Right. So now you see that I have 2 keys created, HPVS demo and HPVS demo.pub, and this is the public key, right? So this is basically what we can share with the outside world. So if I show you guys what's in that, this is my public key, and the public key part is the one that goes all the way up to the email, because the email is the actual identification. Hold on. And I want to actually copy that because I'm going to have to use that to spin up my virtual server. Excellent. Right. So now that we've done that, we can go and spin up the virtual server. So go to catalog and go to just HyperProtect. Service. There we go. Click on that. And basically, the only few things that you guys need to do here, once this thing works, yep, there we go, is to select the region. So we're going to be using Frankfurt 2 for this one. I'm going to select the free tier, but the free tier has a few limitations. Namely, you can't spin up many free of these for each account you have. So we may get an error. If that happens, I'll spin up an entry tier. And then I'm going to put my name here, so that's very easy to identify on the resource catalog. Repeat a test. And here we put our key, and that's it. Now, when I click create, I should get a nice little message saying we're good to go, and it'll start provisioning. Excellent. Service created. Service might take some time to provision, and it does actually take a little bit of time. It takes a good 15 minutes of provision. So rather than just waiting 15 minutes, I'm going to get started on the next piece, which is the crypto unit. And then as soon as we finish initializing that, I'll come back and show you guys the virtual server spun up and logging into that server. Right. So now for the crypto unit, I'm actually going to use one that I've created previously because sometimes these can take quite a bit of time to provision. But I have zeroed the unit out, so it's basically as if I've just provisioned it. Okay, and this is what it looks like. When you provision it, initially it says error HSM key not configured and service crypto units are not configured. And just so you guys know, to provision this thing it's remarkably easy, right? So if I just protect crypto service, again, the only few things I need to say is where I want to provision this thing. So let's say Frankfurt. There isn't really an option in what type of crypto unit. There's just one standard. What you can do is you can do 1 if you're just testing. You can do 2 for high availability, or you can do 3 for greater performance, because it automatically provisions a load balancer in front, so it will give you more performance if you select more of them. And that's it. Create, and it will create. Right. So back to my crypto unit, and the good thing about putting everything with Peter down is that I can just go back to it here. So we can see we need to initialize this thing. So back to the command prompt so that I can initialize this thing. And now for the crypto units, we need to install something additional to the CLI called the TKE plugin, right? So in that sense, and this is again well explained in the Cloud Docs. That's why I love the Cloud Docs. When you start doing stuff and do have a look at the Cloud Docs, because they have like a step-by-step of what we need to do. And this is basically a step-by-step of initializing the instance. It has a video of someone doing it. It has all the steps that you need to go through to initialize the unit, which is something I'm taking you through now. It also has how you install the TKE and what you need to do to install the TKE and all that good stuff. Right, so back to the... Okay, so another 2 things that I need to do, which I've already done, is I need to create my admin keys and I need to create my master key. Okay, so the admin keys, okay, I've created one admin key for Peter, which starts with 8 DAC, and for the master keys, I've created 3 parts. Oh yeah, and another nifty thing about the command prompt is that if you just simply type help at the end, rather than the actual little command that you want, it gives you a whole option of things that you can choose from. So it's actually quite intuitive to use. I've created a master key in 3 parts. So for master keys, you either need 2 or 3 parts. You can't do with less than that. It actually states that when you're trying to initialize a unit. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to actually add our crypto unit to our account, if you will, because it's been provisioned, but it hasn't been added to your CLI account or CLI session, if you will. So the first thing I need to do is to do the command crypto unit add, and that will actually list all the units in my account in the IBM Cloud, so that I can select which ones I want to configure. Now, if we go back to our crypto unit and the connect, we're going to see that the instance ID is this. It starts with 8B and ends in F1. And if I go back to the command prompt, I can see that the one that connects, that mine one, the one that starts with 8B and ends in F1, are units 2 and 3. So all I need to do is 2 and 3. And I've selected 2 and 3. And now you can see that the select has changed to true here. So if we just want to double check, command crypto units will just give us, it should give us that these 2 have been selected. Yep, there we go. These 2 have been selected. Great. Right. So now I need, so what happens is the crypto unit, once you provision it, it's in imprint mode. And what that is, right, we call it imprint mode because it's like a duckling, right? So when a duck is born, it imprints on the first thing it sees, and that implicitly trusts us thing. And it's the same sort of thing. As soon as you provision a unit and you connect to it, it will implicitly trust you. So you need to secure it, right? You need to put an admin key on it, and then you take it out of imprint mode, and then it's secured. It's yours. The reason we do that is for the keep your own key, right? So IBM provisions this thing and gives it to you so that only you have access to it. We don't have access to it, and so you have to do that yourselves. So let's go, putting it into. First, let's check if we have any admins on the crypto unit. Nope. So no crypto unit administrators for this service instance. Okay. Now we're going to add. I'm going to add myself as the admin for this. Just the admin add command. Okay, and it'll ask me which key I want to select. I've only got one key here, so I'll select this one, and it'll ask me for the password of that key. So just bear with me while I put that in. Great. So crypto unit administrator was added to the select crypto unit. Perfect. Right. Now if I go if I issue the admin's command again, we should see that Peter is now the administrator, so that myself, I'm now the administrator of units 2 and 3, which are my units, the ones I've selected. Now what we need to do is take it out of imprint mode, because we're happy that I'm the only administrator and they are secure. So we do that with the unit with the command crypto unit threshold set. Right, so we'll ask you for a new signature key threshold. In this case, it's 1 because there's only 1 administrator, but you can add up to 8 administrators. And if you do that, then this will be basically the number of administrators that would need to sign off based on the whatever action you need to do. So every time I have to put a password into the thing, if you put 2 or 3, then 2 or 3 administrators need to put the password for that action to actually occur, right? And the revocation signature threshold is basically how many administrators need to sign off when you take an administrator off the account. So similar. I'm going to put 1 because there's only 1. I'm the only administrator. It will ask me for my password. Okay, so now we have 0 units in imprint mode. So now we're out of imprint mode, and the unit is mine. I'm the only person that can actually access the unit. I'm the only person that has a key, and I'm the only person that has access to the unit. No one from IBM, no cloud operator can actually go into that unit and access that unit. It's now strictly mine. And that key exists only in my notebook. There's the same thing for the master key, and I'll talk to you guys about that in a second. Okay, now what we need to do is to load the master key. Okay, now you see that I had a 3. Do that with the command IBM crypto unit m key load. So it will ask me which of these I want to load, and it says here 2 or 3 values must be specified. So I'm going to load all 3 of them. And it'll ask me for the passwords of everything, my admin key and all the separate admin master keys. Now it's worth noting here that if you had smart cards, you can load them straight from the smart cards. Great. So now we have a new master key in the registry. So, but they are non-committed yet, so I need to commit these. So again, there we go, commit. And once again, it'll ask me for my admin password. And had I selected 2 or more admins, then they'll all need to put their passwords. Okay, now I have it committed. And the last unit is I need to activate the key. And that's done with the set IMM command. It says this basically because if you do this and your crypto unit was previously restored because of a failure or something from one region, and you put a different master key into the crypto unit, then you will wipe out the previous data. Basically, the previous keys that were stored in the unit are going to be gone. But since this is a new unit, then we don't have to worry about that. This is something you'd have to worry about if you were restoring a unit for some reason. Okay, and it'll ask me for my password again. Well, that's strange. Let's try that again. Excellent. Right. So now you can see that the setting has been zeroed, and the current, the future, I mean, and the current is now got the verification pattern that we submitted up there. So our units they are set. Okay. We're now ready to go, and this is being configured with our master key, which it only exists in clear text in your workstation, right? So this only exists at the moment in clear text in my hard drive. When this unit, when this master key and the admin keys, when they're transferred over to the HSM, they are encrypted with a HSM machine key, which generated at manufacturing time. So this doesn't exist anywhere outside of this environment here in my notebook in clear text. right? And this is why we call this keep your own key, because no one has access to your keys apart from you. And if I go back to the IBM Cloud and refresh, we should now see that the unit should be operational. Voila, service is running smoothly. And now we can add a key. So let's add a key called CRK, customer root key 1. Okay. So there we go. We've added a root key. And that's how you set up the crypto unit. Now, just briefly going back to the HPVS server that we created, which should be up by now. So let's go and check that. There we go. HyperProtect virtual server. Come on. Yep, it's up. And our public address is this. So I just copy that back to here. So I will do SSH. I want to use the key that's on here, right? So that's the HPVS demo, but now I want to use the private key. So SSH -i for the key I want to use, which is HPVS demo, root at the public IP. And then I want to say yes, first time I'm connecting. There we go. Here I am. Welcome to Ubuntu, generic S390. So Linux 1, Ubuntu running on the cloud. Voila, really easy to spin up these virtual servers. So there we go. So and the last part I'd like to take you guys through is it's connecting the crypto unit to a VMware environment. But we don't have access to a VMware environment, so what I'll do is I'll walk you through a quick video of how that's done, so you can see how easy that is, because it really isn't very difficult. Right. So let's see how this goes. Right, so here, let me just take you guys through what we need to do first. To connect to a VMware environment, we need to create a KMIP adapter, connect that to the vCenter, and establish trust with the vCenter. The KMIP adapter will be connected to the crypto unit. Okay, so this is basically it. The first thing you need to do is initialize the crypto unit or the HPCS instance with the key. So we did that. We created that CR K1 key. Then we need to create a KMIP instance. Then we need to do an exchange for the vCenter to trust the KMIP adapter. And lastly, we'll spin up a VM with the with the new setup. Okay, so right. So the first thing we need to do is to provision a KMIP adapter, right? And to do that, within the resources tab of the IBM Cloud VMware, you go to KMIP adapter and provision new. Okay, now here you're going to put an instance name, you're going to say where the service location is, and then you're going to put an API key for the service ID. Now this is something that you need to get from the CLI, and it authenticates you into the session. And once that's done, you can now pick your root, your crypto unit, and once that's done, you can actually retrieve your root key. So there we go, CRK1, and that's it. It's provisioned, right? So the next bit here is should see the key. Right, so now we need to create the KMS cluster, which is basically connecting the KMIP adapter to the vCenter. So within the vCenter, within the configuration section of the vCenter, you're going to go to the key management service and add new. And that's where you add a new adapter. Just create a new cluster, put demo name or whatever name you'd like, server name again, demo. The server address and server ports, this you have to go back to the adapter that is just created to get, and then you get the server endpoint and the port. Really easy. Then you add that. And then now we have to trust it. So we have to enable trust between the adapter and the vCenter. So if you click that, you see that it's not trusted. So make trust, and then get a vCenter certificate, and that will actually give us a certificate that we can copy and go and paste over in the adapter. So here you can click on add a client SSL certificate, give it a name, put the certificate content, and add. Once you've done that, we can then go back to the vSphere client. Done. Yeah. And if we refresh the page, we're going to see that trust has been established. Excellent. So now we're gonna spin up a VM with an encrypted hard disk, and there's many of ways of doing that. So we're just going to use the the wizard to do that. And basically everything's the same except that on the storage we select VM encryption policy. So just pick up the normal stuff. Here we're choosing an Ubuntu image. Carry on selecting the groups. We're selecting the network port or the adapter, sorry. Here we're selecting an Ubuntu ISO. Yep. And next, and it will provision. When you click on finish, it'll stop provisioning the server. There we go. So it's provisioning. It's provisioning quite quickly. Then we go into demo VM. We see that's provisioned. And then now if we go back to the vCenter object, right? And then we go into the monitoring tab and tasks. We can see the tasks that performed while provisioning. And we'll see that, voila, it used a new KMIP adapter that we created, a demo KMIP adapter. Now, if you go back to the crypto unit, we're actually going to see that it generated a new key for that, right? And there we go. We'll refresh. And a new key has been added at the top, okay? And that key is, it's wrapped to the CRK1 key, right? That we told it to use when we created a KMIP adapter. Now, just so you guys know how that works, basically, no, this isn't it. I want IBM Firefox, there we go. Key hierarchy. This is the master key, and the master key actually controls the root keys, and the root keys control the device encryption keys, which are the green keys, if you will. And they all wrapped. So this key is wrapped to this key, and it's wrapped to this key, which means that if at some stage I decided that I just, I want to trash all the data, all my encrypted data on IBM Cloud, if I remove a master key, all the root keys become unusable and all the device encryption keys become unusable. At the same time, if I decide that I want to create all the VMs, I want to make all the VMs in that VM environment unusable for some reason, I can just get rid of the CRK1 key, which wraps all the device encryption keys, and again, all the VMs that are created in the VM environment will then become unusable. So that's time, I believe, and that's what I had to show you guys. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them now. If you guys want to see something else, I can try to make that happen for you. There's a nice little demo that we can do with object storage too. If you guys are interested, just
Perfect.
let me
Thanks,
know.
Peter. Yep, much appreciated. No, that was very good. And, so a couple of things on this, right? So as we mentioned before, and what Peter's just shown you, and also Alison discussed, the level of data encryption now that we can look at doing is moving, kind of sensitive, mission critical data and move it safely and securely into the public cloud. The other key value proposition that I just wanted to let you all know as well is, as many customers are moving data into the cloud, there has been a lot of cases of data bill shock. Right, so another great value add here from an IBM is customers and partners who have a direct connect to IBM Cloud can actually choose an unmetered data ingress and egress. So the great thing with that is, as customers and partners, you actually don't get data bill shock. And specifically, if you're looking to start into putting more mission critical workloads, right, using the HyperProtect services, that's another great value add for you as a partner and also for your clients. So I know we've got a couple of minutes left. Tash, back over to you. Is there any questions kind of come through from the chat box we want to quickly address before time's due?
Absolutely, we do, Ant. One came through a little while ago, and I think this is directed at Peter, but just you tell me, Ant, what would the difference be between IBM and a customer that has workloads in the Microsoft Secure Zone in the Canberra data center And what are the main selling points against this instance of Azure in Australia?
Okay, sure. Let me kind of address that one there. So Microsoft in their Canberra data center only have certain workloads that are actually protected at IRAP. One of the key differentiators here, and what we've just shown you with HyperProtect, so this data encryption that we have got, Microsoft actually don't have that as an offering. Right, so specifically as we went through the whole keep your own key, that is not available, on the Azure data center. And most importantly, as we mentioned before, while our HyperProtect services are at protected level data, we are now working with the federal government by the end of this year to actually get secret and top secret, which again, Azure won't have.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Okay, I got a couple more here. What is a typical deal size for a small to medium-sized business?
Yep, I think Alison had an example up there. So if you're thinking about an annual contract value, it's probably starting around about the $40,000 to $45,000 over the year, probably for our SMB to actually look at kind of using our HyperProtect services. Now, other interesting point on that, as a partner, correct me if I'm wrong, going through the Ingram Cloud Marketplace, the margins on that are usually between 10 to 17% as well. But for a small customer, and again, it depends on the workload, depends on the data, you're probably looking around about $50,000 a year, Australian dollars a year.
Brilliant, brilliant. And got another one here. What industries is this solution ideal for? That's a good one.
Yep. As we kind of mentioned before, highly regulated industries. So we talked about, and Alison mentioned, our financial services cloud, the Bank of America and also BNP are now rolling out. Just on that, we are currently working with the Australian federal government and also with the Australian Prudential Regulatory Authority about bringing the financial services cloud here to Australia. Most importantly is the crypto services, which is the core basis of that, are available now. But what we're finding when we're talking to customers, it's customers who basically have a lot of confidential and sensitive information, right? And specifically what's going on COVID at the moment, a lot of our clients across multiple different industries are saying, are talking to us about, now I can actually look at moving those workloads and those data off my on-prem and actually, deliver this securely in a public cloud. So as I kind of mentioned before, we've seen only 20% of workloads and data have actually moved from, on-prem to cloud. So it really just depends on the customer and what type of information and how much information. But the HyperProtect services is something that most of our clients right now at the moment are talking to across multiple different industries.
Oh, and I just got one more that just came through right then. And to start using the Ingram IBM HyperProtect Cloud service, is there a minimum requirement for uploading storage? Example, start off with file level storage or work up to block level.
Yep. So the great thing of this is, right, as I said, it is and what Peter showcased, it is truly cloud enabled. So the ability of and we have a pay as you go and pay as you use. So you can start small and then actually grow with time. And also, as we kind of showed, and we'll have the links to this recording and to all the additional training to be able to kind of show you as easily as you can using our IBM Cloud portal to be able to kind of start these new services.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And I think that's a good point, that there'll be a follow-up email with relevant links, videos. We might even include some of these questions with the answers, just so that they're handy.
Right.
I think just to close, there's some reminder steps here. Attend the webinar. Everyone's done that. Tick. Get accreditation. Fantastic. By getting the accreditation and completing the online digital learning, if you post it on LinkedIn and tagging a micro, you can receive a Lego Harley-Davidson bike as well. That's pretty cool. Lego Harley-Davidson, not full size, just reiterating. And join the marketplace, of course. Of course. I want to thank you, gentlemen. Absolutely thank you, Lee and Ant, and Alison and
Pleasure.
Peter. I got a couple more housekeeping things here as well. Maybe the most important is the jacket, the
Yes.
limited edition jacket.
Let's do that.
Now,
Let's do that.
I don't know if you guys are paying attention or not. Okay. The first person to answer what these 3 services are that are included in IBM HyperProtect services, answer in the chat box. First person who answers that will win the jacket. Now, so I'll repeat, there are 3 services included in IBM HyperProtect services, 3 distinct. Okay, so chat away, chat, whoever's first. Also, I will include the winner in the follow-up email. And that's sort of my way to make sure that you actually read the email when we send it through. See what I did there? Also, the activating your account on the Ingram Cloud Marketplace, paramount, signing up for the Harley-Davidson Challenge to win the Harley-Davidson Livewire, powered by IBM Cloud. Obviously, that's pretty exciting. And lastly, tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're holding another webinar, but this time on IBM's own digital marketing automation platform. It's free to access and to use for all IBM partners to create their own events, webinars, EDMs, campaigns, social posts. It's a really fantastic tool, and it's not very often that something that is cool is free. The link for registering will be in the chat box as well. And also you can access that from our IBM Cloud page to register. I think that's all my housekeeping. I know we've gone a little bit over. There was a lot of content. I really appreciate everyone contributing, especially Peter doing a live demo is always a little risky. So I think that went off without a hitch. And thank you, beautiful Anthony and beautiful Lee. Awesome faces.
Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And have a wonderful
Goodbye.
morning.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.